So there are, today's topic we are going to be discussing about God from a science point of view. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is our body made of?
It's made of cells. It's made of atoms, lots of different organs.
Your body is made of different organs, which are in turn made of cells, which are in turn made of molecules, which are in turn made of atoms and fundamental particles. Does each of your cell has a different life, or do they share the same life as you?
Cells are constantly dying, and new cells are constantly being born. So that would make me think they each have their own life.
Yeah, and we also see people's body parts get transplanted after their death. That means their cells continue to live beyond their life. Then what is your life? If you are not your body nor your cell, what are you in first place?
Soul.
Our cells basically are operated on the concept of feeling. Whatever we feel, that message is transmitted to our mind, and the feeling of feeling creates a thought in your mind. Like, I feel heat, I feel cold, I feel breeze. All these are feelings.
Thought is the feeling of feeling, right?
The thought is the feeling of feeling. And the accumulation of thoughts in one person, we can consider that as their soul, which acquires those sanskaras due to those thoughts and memories that have been established.
And sanskaras, can you quickly define sanskara?
Sanskara is just a Vedic way of calling memory, the memory that is attained through an action, karma. When you feel something, that's also a cause and effect. There is a cause and effect associated with it.
Yeah.
They define a person on what sanskaras that he will establish. Let's say if a person eats a lot, such person will have sanskaras developed towards that, and also probably some overweight in relation to that.
So sanskara is really just what you like, what you are attracted to, what you admire, qualities or things, spirits that you admire, anything that you admire.
It's a memory. It doesn't mean just admiration. Could be any thought. It could be depression is also a sanskara.
So it's more like an impression.
It's an impression. Like we just realized, like our body doesn't hold our true self. We only have the sanskaras, genetic impressions decoded in this body. Our soul is beyond space and time. Same way, if you are not your body, but you are an accumulation of multiple cells, you can also visualize God as in someone where you are a cell of a God. Everything together forms one big being as God.
Okay, so I'm going to try to repeat that to make sure I understand it. So if we were to imagine our individual selves as cells in our body, all of the cells in our body make up us as a human being. So, in that same way, we can say that we, all humans combined, make up God.
Yes, all humans, all not just all humans, it's beyond.
Yeah.
It's beyond
Everything.
humans, beyond everything living, non living,
Yeah.
and it's even beyond creation. I know it's a very hard topic to meditate upon, but think of it from an analogy of multicellular organism. It's known as Kala Mahapurusha in Vedic philosophy. Kala Mahapurusha means a being created by time, a great being created by time.
Okay. And then can you go into how it's created by time?
You remember we discussed in our first podcast that we have to constantly show our willpower towards becoming what we are today, and it happened over time. by constantly showing willpower with detachment and righteous behavior helped us evolve to the place we are in. And we together become one great being, which you can call himself as Father, or you can call himself as Vishnu, Shiva, Allah, whatever you want to call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, just like our body, within our body, our cells, right? You can use that analogy to even compare how healthy God is as well. If your cells are healthy, you are healthy. If all the living beings, all the living things are righteous and healthy, God is healthy as well. As in, like, imagine yourself showing greed and cheating and eating from other cells. That's what
The
human
organ
beings do,
would
right?
die. Yeah.
That means we are essentially making our organs inefficient.
Yeah.
We're not nurturing them in the right way. And the greedy cells are known as cancerous cells. They take over that place and they kill the whole organism as a whole. Right? In the same way, from a God point of view, you can look at the whole system. If there is a lot of greed, then it leads to the destruction of humanity as a whole.
So you mentioned going down to the cellular level, but you could also extrapolate to the state level as well. Like if you think about the different countries that exist right now, they are all like multicellular organisms because they're made up of individual people.
So, as you mentioned, right, like I expressed God a collection of everything that is in the universe, but you can scale it down smaller and you can say, like, hey, this country is the people that it is made of, and all the people together shows the health of the country. Right? Like, that's the true way to measure the country as well. And is the country healthy or not? Can be determined by the people that are in the country and the way they exhibit. If within the country people are fighting each other, just like if your cells are fighting with each other, it means it became an autoimmune disorder.
Wow.
Same is happening at a country level, which is known as civil unrest. People know the consequences of civil unrest. Same thing. If the country is showing greed, same way if your body is showing greed, it becomes obese. Same happens to the country too. Obese things have low quality of life. They cannot enjoy anything to the fullest. The happiness subsides. So, if we have to treat God as the most healthy person, what would it look like? That should be our target state
Yeah.
to work towards.
Mhm. That's super interesting that you say God is the healthiest being because I think a huge misconception about what God is, often God is thought of as the most powerful being. And what are your thoughts on that? Like thinking about it from the perspective of power versus health and how those kind of could be the same thing in a way.
God is definitely the most powerful being of all. Whatever gives us all the intelligence and knowledge has to be the most powerful one. So, that perception of God, as in the Father or Allah, or Krishna or Shakti, or any definition, is the most powerful being. Now, it is powerful at its purest level.
Yeah.
That means within humans, we discussed, right? Like, there are some people, the most righteous ones, who are dictating our future, who are writing our future in terms of like what religions we should follow. There are so many inspirations created by the people over the time, not just in the field of religion, in the field of music, science, in the field of art, everywhere. That has been setting up our future state for every aspect. These people, you can consider them as the cells in your body that are inspiring other cells. What do you call those cells?
They are the healthiest cells. I'm not sure what the science term is.
Among these cells, right, like there is no single name, by the way. Depending upon the type of cell, there could be different names. Let's say, for example, if you take a Vedic philosophy, the way Krishna is depicted, Krishna depicts himself as a vessel. The body being separate from the soul, and the soul being one with the Paramatma, which is the supreme soul, supreme thought, one thought. For him, his body is a vessel as he can take any soul or perspective he wants. He's a stem cell in a sense. He can become anything he wants. He can become back to stem cell he wants. So those are the philosophies that were taught in the yogic way back then. A person to achieve a certain purpose can become a stem cell, can convert into that state using yogic sciences, achieve that purpose, and be back with oneness again.
Yeah. So a stem cell is really just a yogi.
Yeah, a yogi at its highest level.
And what about a white blood cell?
Kshatriya is the one who fights for what is right. That's what white blood cells do, right?
Right, yeah.
All the other cells you can correlate to respective functions of your body, which nurtures you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the most interesting part of this, the ability to connect science to all of these terms, is that everything in what we are saying, everything that we are talking about, because it's dharmic, it is all purpose and function based. Everything has a function. And if everything has a function, then you can correlate it with other things that also have the same function.
But a really good point. If you see our body, right, like before asking the ideal state, the healthy state of a father, there has to be an ideal state for our bodies too, right? Like every cell has the best condition it can be in. It comes with the right nutrition, it comes with the right mindset, it comes with the amount of stress that person goes through as well. No stress and happiness leads to healthy looking body as well, right? You need to understand that each cell is aimed towards a purpose, and we need to help it towards fulfilling that purpose correctly. Then the body will be efficient as a whole, and the body will shine as well. Same thing with the human beings as well. If we are purpose driven, humans or any living being for that matter are purpose driven, then we will serve the greater purpose which will fall under one framework known as the God, the Father, the Allah, Krishna. So that's how you can explain a purpose based living through this example as well. We are truly meant to be purpose driven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We as humans, as conscious beings, and other living beings as well, are thinking about the health of our individual cells and trying to improve the health of our individual cells, trying to make sure that our cells live up to their highest potential. Could you also extrapolate that and say that there's the supreme being is doing that for us as well?
Yep, definitely. So I can take you through one of the philosophy and explain this concept very well. Your body has multiple cells, and each cell has a different lifetime. It could vary anywhere from 2 days and to throughout your life as well, right? Like the cell life. Same way, if you look at from the higher being, the supreme being, if we are a cell in his body, our lives are similar too. We die and are reborn again, just like the cells in our body, towards going through that purpose.
Yeah.
And how quickly we are reborn? We are reborn more quicker if our ignorance is higher.
Can you explain that in terms of the cell?
Yeah. In terms of the cell, if the cell is more unhealthy, it will die faster.
Yes.
Same thing with us. When we are not right, yes. When we are not efficient, that means we have to be going through the death phase, which we explained as tamoguna, right? Like exhibiting tamoguna will result in death, rudra, and then the birth has to happen. You go through the cycle again. What is breaking us from that cycle? The breaking point for your cell or yourself is the realization that you are the supreme self itself. At that realization point, you will be able to negate the karmic effects, the negative effects that you're doing, tamogunas that you're doing, burn them away, and bring positive spirit and thought to your body, mind, and soul purpose to live a longer and healthier life too. What is limiting a human today in terms of living longer?
Health.
Health. Let's say if there are no health issues, what will be limiting them?
Mind.
If there are no mind issues, what will be limiting them?
Nothing.
That's why it is predicted in the old days. People used to live way longer because they used to be with purest of thought, purest of spirit.
Yeah.
When you have pure thought and spirit, of course, your body will be healthy, your purpose will also be healthy. It comes together.
So you said that once we are realized, that's when we can unlock all of this power that you're talking about.
Yes.
What does that look like on a cellular level? Like, what is the realization equivalent for a cell?
If you have to explain that in a cellular level, you can say by realizing each cell is becoming a stem cell again and it is being reborn into whatever it wants to. It has no death. It is just converting into different cellular shape to serve the purpose.
So the realization is like the ability to choose.
Yes.
It's awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the perspective of science in terms of God. We talked about science and purpose. Can we talk a little bit more about the science perspective for karma, the cellular example?
If you have to use a scientific way of explaining karma from a cellular example, we spoke about like how a cell communicates to your body. How does it communicate? How does it transmit the feeling?
By sending data into the bloodstream.
By sending a signal, electromagnetic signal. The same way humans communicate with each other by expressing everything in feelings. And when it is the right feeling, the other person reciprocates back in a nice way. If it is a wrong feeling, there will be a inefficiency, rejection coming out. And it depends upon the whole society, not just those two humans, right? So the communication is at its most efficient when they are all aligned on the same purpose. Otherwise, it will be inefficient. Same way, if your body becomes inefficient in sending signals, electromagnetic signals to your mind, it's a very severe health condition.
Yeah.
Same, you can correlate in a day-to-day life from a human being point of view. If he's inefficient in terms of communicating anything or getting anything done in the society, is he has bad karmic effects and he's being inefficient, he's paying price for that. If he's very efficient in communicating and getting his way, that means he has good karmic effects. Sometimes if you have humans like Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, they're capable of changing the society around them as well.
Yeah.
By teaching everyone what is the right way to. So these are the different ways you can explain karma. And the cell that does that is known as karma yogi. Whoever teaches the other cells, by teaching, he will become a gnana yogi. By influencing by example, he will become a karma yogi. By showing the path, by leading the path. By showing love and compassion, bhakti yogi.
So then, should we talk a little bit more about the burning of karma as well?
When it comes to the burning of karma, we discussed in our last podcast that we can create the third person perspective in our mind, visualize what we are going through, understand the consequences of what we have done, and burning the karma by imagining and letting go of those sanskaras. Right? Like by constant practice, it comes with practice. But you can avoid a lot of damage. This is the most efficient way of all. There are other ways that have been followed in the past by people. If you have seen Jesus or Dattatreya, they requested everyone to give all their sins to them so that they can take away those sins and burn it for them. It works in a way. Even Dattatreya was said to be begging along the streets to give away their bad karmas. So I will explain you how this burning of karmas concept work from the perspective of Jesus and Dattatreya. In a sense, we discussed in the past that when a person lets go of those bad feelings, they will burn the karmas. That means forgiving the other person for their mistakes and forgiving also themselves for the mistakes. So he who gives away his bad karmas is giving away their mistakes to you. That means they are, in a sense, clearing themselves of all the bad works that they have. That is what they are believing in. If they truly believe that they have given away their bad karmas, it works as well. It can be done in a other way as well. It can be done through a prayer. Pray to the God. Let go of the mistakes done by the others and forgive yourselves. That could also help in burning karmas through prayer, simple prayer.
Okay, that makes sense. Can we go back to the science? Like, how would we explain forgiveness from the perspective of science?
Very good question. How can you expect forgiveness? Define forgiveness.
To let go.
To let go. And do you want to take the example of cellular example that we used before? So, to let go essentially means letting go of bad karmas. If you take the example of a cell, your cells when you exercise, they get stressed, they go through a phase of stress, and they have karmic balances inside them. You put them through bad food, they go through a different type of stress, they might become fat and obese, they go through the karmic effects. Now, what is letting go at a cellular level? It could be relaxing the cell, you use a massage gun or you stretch your muscles to let go of that stress in that cells, to make them feel like they're fresh again, they're reborn again. In some cases, it takes more than massage. You have to work out a lot probably and get it back to shape and then let go of all that stress. So if it is working at a cellular level and if it is becoming healthier, it has to work at the human being level too.
So stretching. Stretching your cells, stretching your body. You know, there's this concept in like the Western culture right now that says a lot of your trauma and your memories are stored in your body, of course. And one of the reasons why people teach yoga, they say, is to let go of these memories and let go of everything that all the trauma that has been built in your body and is stored in your hips mostly.
Exactly. So you're absolutely right. All the thoughts that we have, they're manifested in the body, not just as stress, but also the shape of the body is determined by what they have gone through. Samskaras, right? Like
Yeah.
the way one walks, the way one looks is a reflection of their mind if they're at the purest level. Who doesn't take care of themselves? You cannot use that analogy. Maybe they are pure in mind, but they're not paying attention to body as well. The Krishna's way is to take care of everything, treat everything with the right respect, that on all aspects. Now, to our earlier point, right, like letting go of bad karmas from the self, in this case, is stretching or sitting in a hot sauna or taking a cold plunge or getting a massage. In some cases, going through a strenuous exercise and then letting go of the stress to feel healthy again. Same is true even at the higher being level too. His cells needs to be stretched, cleansed from all the karmas, burned. All the bad karmas should be burned away for them to be at its healthiest, to become one again with him.
So, what is the equivalent of the multicellular organism being God? What is the equivalent of God stretching? How do we experience God stretching? What happens to us when God goes to yoga class?
When God goes to yoga class, you'll see worldwide change in spiritual interest. I'm
Hey.
meditating upon the good topics.
God needs to go to yoga class.
He's going. The way I see it, he's going currently.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, you mentioned third person perspective as being the most effective way of burning karma. And I'm wondering if you can go into a little bit more detail on that and how to achieve that third person perspective. We talked a little bit about it in the Life of a Yogi podcast, but I just want to talk about it a little bit more because it's very important.
Definitely. So third person perspective is something which you have in back of your head. Someone watching you all the time from your consciousness. That means when you are reacting, you are no longer reacting. It's a planned action. Everything is by action. The third person perspective will help you create that higher level of visualization on what essentially you are doing. And creating that perspective will help purify you as a whole and burn all your karmas. I will give you one example, right? Like, let's say if a person is very angry or is short tempered by nature, then you see how that person's life goes. It's a common pattern. The pattern is generally people with short temper, not everyone will be telling them truths, fearing them that they might become angry. As a result, they will be often operating in ignorance. And they will come to truth at one point in time, sooner or later. And they will not trust the others anymore because no one is delivering them the truth. They think they are at fault, not this guy. The one who is angry is always right for himself. Right? So that will lead to further and further problems. Right? Like not trusting others will not even help this person grow as well. He's limiting his opportunities. Let's say if someone creates a third person perspective on the back of his head, understanding that every wrong action, wrong sanskara has bad effects, they can negate these effects. They will realize what moments to become show anger and not to show anger.
And in that way, you're also creating your own reality. You're creating the future that you want. Because
Exactly.
if you can understand where you are and understand the effect, the cause and effect of everything, then you know where you are heading.
Yep. In a way, it is working your way backwards. When you create that third person perspective in the back of your head, imagining you are meant to be this person, this personality, and you are comparing yourself against that reference frame, you will know what needs to be done to improve yourself as well. And oftentimes, it also means you need to probably take more feedback from others because probably you might think you are right, but there is a third person perspective you are missing. So be open, take feedback from others, ask others, don't be shy. If you're shy that someone else will think of you in a certain way, that's a problem with them. They have to address it themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let them worry about that. But take advice from someone who you trust, who shows good qualities as well. Yeah, otherwise, you will be a toy in someone's hand.
Yeah.